TechNet Saturday at 7 p.m. W5FC. W5FC.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anybody need to use the repeater before we start Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. Calling all hams, calling all hams. This is Bill, N5BB, that's November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Opening the Saturday night TechNet, which meets each week to encourage ham operators to have fun and to help each other with news and technical support. You do not need to be a member of any amateur radio club to join us. If you're licensed to transmit here, you're more than welcome to check in. During a net, any station with emergency traffic can enter the net at any time by using the pro words break, break in your call sign. The net will then stand by until the emergency communication is completed. Because this is a directed net, please do not transmit without direction of net control. That's me. Stations are reminded to identify at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Stations on Echolink can check in using the W5FC-R station ID, which is Echolink node 37247. And I am looking at Echolink. So if you make a comment over there, I may be able to see it if I happen to look at my iPad during the net. I'll try to. But you will be able to check in there later. If you're driving through and you're not sure how long you can hit the repeater, but you have a comment or question, please mention that when you check in. We'll get to you as quickly as we can. Later on the net, we specifically ask if anybody has topics they'd like to discuss. So now let's start with short-time check-ins, stations that can't stay very long. Short-time check-ins to Skynet. Excuse me, I am looking at the wrong, I'm looking at the wrong script. Everything is the same except I was reading the TechNet script. I apologize. Let me pull up the Skynet script, which essentially says everything else so far, except Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. Everything else I said is still good. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. This net is 90 minutes long, structured in several parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, National Space Society. Discussion topic of the evening by me, Net Control, was space exploration and space history, Constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, and visible satellite passes, astronomical questions and answers, if we have time, and the 73 round. Tonight should be a little bit different because our own Chaz Heafy is supposed to be checking in from the Stargazer Star Party at the Spring Creek Park in Garland. So I hope he's there. In fact, let me check right now. Chaz, KF5JHA, are you there? This is N5BB, Skynet.
This is KF5, JHA. Sorry, I was at a telescope. What can I do for you, Bill?
Just wanted to make sure you could get on an RF chess, and you can. So I will check you in. So tell me your location there.
So, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has not had any observing sessions for over 2 years. I am at the first one in over 2 years. It's called the Stargazer Star Party. It's at Spring Creek Park, and it's right here in Garland. So, hey, you can find out information, I think, at texasastro.org about the Star Party. I'm excited. We've looked at several things, a couple of star clusters. We've looked at a nebula. We've looked at some multiple star systems. We even got a glimpse of the crescent moon before it set. So we're having fun out here. KF5, JHA, back to Bill.
Very good. Well, it sounds like a nebulous activity to me. Har har. Chaz didn't say any jokes, so I had to throw one in. Okay. Now let's start with short-term check-ins. Any short-term check-ins, please come now. This is on RF with your call sign, your name, and your location.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Quebec Delta Quebec, short time, Eric, Garland, Star Party.
Okay. I recognize KF5QDQ. Eric at the Star Party. Very good. Do we have any other short-time check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet. Yeah, JJ says that Bill found our April Fool's joke. Well, the April Fool's joke would be pulling up the wrong script, the script for Skynet. For TechNet. I hope that's what he meant. Because I do believe that Chaz probably is there at that location. I don't think he's pulling our leg. Okay, now let's go ahead with the regular RF check-ins. This is general check-ins on RF. If you want to check in to Skynet, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is N5BB.
This is D5 bacon, lettuce, tomato, Bill.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5 from Lima, Huey, Stargazer Star Party.
Kilo Golf 5 Uniform Foxtrot Romeo, Jacob, Farmers Branch, Texas.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Romeo Foxtrot Victor, Richard in Rowlett.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
Kilo 5, Golf Lima Delta, Randy, Rowlett.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
This is WB4MFI, Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot, India, Ted, Dallas, low power.
This is Alpha Golf 5, Papa Mike, Rich in Rockwall, AG5 PM.
Okay, let's pause there. Right the start, I had some doubles, so please listen very carefully. The station, Bill, BLT, I think I know who that is, but give us your complete call sign and location, Bill.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Whiskey 5, BLT, Bill, and Garland.
Yeah, I thought it was you, Bill. Okay, next I have KF5PLL. Huey at the start party. Welcome, Huey. Then we have Jacob, KG5UFR at Farmers Branch. Hi, Jacob. Richard, KF5RFV in Rowlett. You're doing good there, Richard. Tony, NT5TM. Hello. Randy, K5GLD. Hi. Bill, KF5ZBL. Welcome. James, KG5WVL, a regular. Ted, WB4MFI, also a regular. And another regular, AG5PM, Rich. Do we have any other RF check-ins for Skynet? This is N5BB.
This is November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, Clan Street.
This is
Kilo Golf 5, Foxtrot, Papa November, Sky.
This is Alpha Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
Okay, let's hold on there. There's a weak station I missed right before Robert. It was a KG5. I think it was Arlington, but you're very noisy. Please try again.
Kilo Golf 5, Foxtrot, Papa November, Sky. Golf Uniform Inc.
I think I got it, Guy. KG5F PN. Is that right? Foxtrot, Papa November. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I'm QR.
Okay, Guy, we just barely hear you. So I recognize AA5. I'm going backwards now. Sorry, going backwards. AA5AH, Robert. KG5FPN, Guy. K5OF, Clay. Clay, did I get your call sign correct?
You need an N in front of it, that's all. November 5, Oscar Foxtrot.
I got it in 50F. Okay. And that's all I got that round. Do we have other check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control, on RF.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Louisville.
Near Weatherford, short time.
Okay, let's pause there. The Weatherford station, please come back.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weatherford. Short time.
Hi, Jay. Thought that was you, but you were so weak I wasn't sure. Got you that time. Okay, so going backwards, I recognize Jay, recognize Tom, K5ICX, Brenda, WB5OZL. Do we have any other check-ins on RF to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. You know, I think that was a bad double. Please try again.
Whiskey Bravo 4, Alpha India Zulu. Whiskey Bravo 4, Alpha India Zulu, Florida.
Okay, Chuck, I see you on Echolink. Thank you. So do we have any other RF check-ins? I'm taking RF check-ins only right now. RF check-ins only. This is N5BB, Skynet.
5.
So, India 5, Sierra Zulu Bravo, Max in Royce City.
Kilo 5. Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John in Coppell.
Okay, I recognize KI5SZB Max way over in Royce City. K5JDW, John in Capel. Do we have any other RF check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB. Okay, let me go to Echolink now. Chuck, WB4AIZ, we already have you checked in from Florida. I'm wondering, Chuck, what part of Florida are you in? And how did you hear about our net?
This is WB4AIZ. Clearwater, Florida, west coast of Florida, just on the coast, on a straight line from Tampa, Florida. And actually, I checked into the net. I forget what the earlier net, and I happened to see the net net listed on NetScraper for the Android. So that's and they said there was a Skynet at I think 10 o'clock or whatever time or your local time down to before IZ.
Well, very good, Chuck. Well, welcome to our net. We talk about everything related to space. This could be manned space, could be unmanned humans going, devices going into space. It could be supernova. It could be looking at the moon outside at night. Anything involving, it could be a satellite. Anything involving space, we talk about it here. So welcome here. Hope you have fun. You're definitely welcome. KI5KTZ, Philip, White Rock. You want to check in on voice, Philip?
KTZ, this is Philip. Much, and also great work on getting the repeater up and running. It sounds fantastic. KI5KTZ, Philip.
We got you, Philip. Welcome to the net again. Who else? We have Tom, Tony, JJ, N5IMS. JJ, he's listening as I might expect. So JJ is on Echolink, trying to make jokes over there, but there's no actors over there willing to joke with him, I think. Very good, JJ. We have you. Do we have any other check-ins on any mode to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control.
KI5NON, Logan and Garland.
Hi, Logan. Recognize KI5NON. Do we have any other check-ins to Skynet?
Kilo India 5, Gulf Romeo Hotel.
KI5GRH. We know that's Melissa. Melissa, are you at Flagpole Hill or are you at your house?
You know, I did work out today. I was leaving Brookhaven College in 8 at Bobo, China on Plano, near Plano and LBJ. I'm going home. And that's it. KF5GRH.
Ah, very good. Any other check-ins to Skynet? Melissa checked in, so any other late check-ins in 5BB? Just have to make the train listen. Like on the traffic jam, remember, Melissa comes in, everybody starts coming in. The early bird gets the worm, Melissa. Anyway, I'm just joking. Okay, next. Do we have any announcements of any kind? Any kind of announcements of interest to amateur radio operators? If so, please come down with your call sign only.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Hello, Tony. I thought you might have some announcements. Go right ahead. This is in 5BB that controls Skynet.
First and most importantly, we're trying to spread the word this weekend. The next meeting of the Dallas Amateur Radio Club is in person this Tuesday, April 5th. We'll be back at the Dallas I just can't talk tonight. We'll be back at the Dallas Medical Center in the third floor community room of the main hospital building, just right where we used to be. Please do wear a mask because it's a hospital and they still require that, and allow extra time to get in. I believe they still may be doing fever checks as well because, again, it is a hospital. But that presumes, of course, we survive these strange bat problems and these strange bat puzzles. We'll be talking about the Afterglow movie, 1966's Batman, tonight on this repeater at 10:30. And of course, this is the first Sunday, so we'll be having meeting on the air at 7 and a race easy training net at 8. And it's the first Monday, too, so we'll be celebrating Ham Fixin's net this Monday on this repeater at 7. Eat before the net. It's safest that way. So I hope to see you at the meeting, and I hope to see you on the Strange Bat Time on this Strange Bat channel. NT5TM.
Thank you, Tony. Net Control says as he runs in from the kitchen. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any news about amateur radio? This is in 5BB. Well, I have some news. It's just been learned by the ARL that the SEC has decided not to charge the new fee. By the way, there is a new fee that you'll have to pay for most FCC actions, but they will not charge people doing an upgrade. Originally, it was thought that they would charge for that, but they're not going to charge for an upgrade or an address change. So now you can go up and upgrade your license without having to pay the FCC. You have to pay the exam fee, but not the FCC, which is separate. But you will have to pay the FCC to change your, like a vanity call sign, or to get a new license. They are going to charge you for that. And they are going to charge you to renew it also, your license. And that's coming up real soon now, later in April, I believe. Does anybody remember the exact date for the fee? JJ says it's April the 19th. So it's coming up here in 17 days, I guess. So if your license was going to renew within the next 90 days, you need to do it before the 19th, so there'll be no cost. Okay. If you know somebody that was going to get an amateur license, they need to get it before the 19th, so it doesn't cost them anything. Or if you're going to change your call sign. Okay. Other than the club meeting coming up, I guess I have no other news myself. One last call for any late check-ins or news of interest to amateur radio operators. This is in 5EB. Oh, and a slight piece of news I have, Irving Amateur Radio Club microgrant project Our deadline for receiving the applications was yesterday, and we have several applications we have received, and we will be analyzing them this coming week, trying to figure out who gets our grants. And we may ask some of the groups for more questions or clarification. Involving news, I was not able to make it to Mentor Fest today up in Denton. Is anybody on the net? Did anybody who's on the net attend and can give us a report about Mentor Fest? This is N5BB. Please come with your call sign only. Wow, sounds like nobody went to Mentor Fest, or they're shy, one or the other. I guess we'll have to wait and hear about it from via email or something. Okay, let's move ahead now. AMSAT has some local nets on Tuesday evenings. There is a net at 8 p.m. on this repeater, except when we have a club meeting, like this coming Tuesday. So other Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m., there is a net on this repeater, 146.88 megahertz. N5HYP is net control. All stations are welcome to check in. This is about amateur satellites, AMSAT and other amateur satellites. Then on Wednesday evening, there's a western part of the Metroplex net in Tarrant County on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz. Positive offset, BL 110.9. That's at 9 p.m. every Wednesday evening. These are both nets. Anybody can attend. You can hear the latest news about amateur satellites, and you can ask questions or make comments. There's many nets here on this repeater. I'll just say that Monday night there's many nets. Different thing every week. And I mentioned the Tuesday net. On Fridays, the City Simulation net is at 8 p.m. here on this repeater. On Saturday days, we have TechNet at 7 p.m., Skynet at 9 p.m., and then we have the Afterglow net at 10:30 p.m. Every day, we have the National Traffic System net at 6:30 p.m. on this repeater, and at 10:30 p.m., it's on the Irving 146.72 megahertz repeater. Anybody is welcome to check into any of the nets. Just please listen to the net so that you know that you're checking in appropriately at the correct time. Next, we have a description of the Afterglow net tonight. This nearly sounds like me, but it's not me. Tom, K5ICX. Do you want to read this interesting script about the Afterglow net? This is N5BB.
Why, I'll do exactly that, Bill. And for folks who don't know, Batman, the movie from 1966, premiered in Austin, Texas. So it has an Austin slant. Bill was waiting impatiently, standing in line. The year was 1966. The place, Austin, Texas. He'd only had his license a relatively short time. His other friends were well aware of his technical prowess, and he had what appeared to be a utility belt with radio transceivers. He even had a Morse code straight key. He tried to convince his other young friends to learn the archaic codes, so when they too were shoved into a school locker without provocation, they could secretly send out their confined locations so others could rescue them. But today was different. It was the matinee showing of Batman, the movie. This was an exciting moment for Bill to see his comic book hero on the big screen. The others around him tried to pretend they didn't know him, especially as Bill was busy powering up the radio amplifier he brought with him on a hand truck. Its purpose was simple, to announce his attendance at this monumental movie. He did so 50 years before social media. The theater curtain parted and the movie whirred to life. The credits sprang to life. Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin, respectively. And having the movie premiere here in Austin was a major coup. The posse of boys sat down, the lights dimmed, and the famous Batmobile graced the big screen. Bill clapped generously and began to hum the Batman theme. Unfortunately, the Batman theme was not in this movie. Others threw popcorn at him. Undeterred, Bill continued humming the theme. It was a great day in comic book and movie history. Join us for Batman, the movie from 1966. No bloody A, B, C, or D at 10:30 p.m. We'll see you there. This is KE5ICX. Back to the net control.
Okay, we're here at the same Bat channel, back again to you. And, well, that nearly could have been me, except I didn't get my amateur license until 3 years later. And I was in Austin, but I didn't know until now that the Batman movie premiered in Austin. I don't remember that. I watched it on TV, but I didn't know that the movie. Interesting. Tom, do you know which movie theater it was at?
Yes, actually, I do. Brenda told me the Paramount Theater in Austin is where it premiered. KE5ICX.
I went there many times. I was only like 11 years old in 1960, most of 1966. Let's see, 11 years old? Let me think. No, I was 12 years old. But, yeah, I'm very familiar with Paramount Theater downtown Austin. Beautiful theater, right next to the state. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Likely story. Next, we have Chaz, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. Chaz, what is going on with you at the Stargazer party? This is N5BB, net control for Skynet. Take it away, Chaz.
Why, thank you, Bill. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. And yes, once again, this is the first time in over 2 years for us to have a public observing session. And it is here in Garland at the Stargazer Star Party. I have a cheering section. I don't know if you heard that in the background. We've had, what, a couple dozen people? Something like that? Yes, sir. Yeah, there you go. We get all sorts of things. Crescent moon. Moon set quite some time ago. But we're looking at like the Orion Nebula M42 and much more. Hopefully, the other TASS public star parties will return in Frisco, Cedar Hill, and Rockwall. We'll find that out later on. But the Stargazer Star Party is on the first Saturday of each month. I hope to be here on most of them. Hey, this is a pretty nice setup I got here. I can do Skynet and stargazing at the same time. The Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting the next one will be on April the 22nd at 7:30 p.m. I think it's still going to be held on Zoom. Dr. Matthew Siegler of SMU, he's a research scientist in Planetary Science Institute. He'll be the featured speaker. He's going to be talking about a number of different NASA missions. TASS Club members will receive an email link to the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting, usually about a week ahead of time. And once again, the public star parties for TASS has free Zoom. To get more information about Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, go to texasastro.org. Very exciting out here. I wish more people were out here, maybe next month. This is KF5JHA. Back to N5BB, our net control, or are you world control tonight?
Local only, Chaz. This is N5BB. Well, it's too bad you don't have 42 people there, or 73, or some other interesting number, but that's okay. We'll take a couple of dozen. Next, we have National Space Society events. I am the local membership director of the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society. We have a website which we're trying to update at nssofnt.org. It's nssofnt.org. You can also find us by looking for National Space Society of North Texas on Facebook. And we have meetings on the second Sunday of every month. I don't yet know what the meeting topic is going to be for our meeting on April the 10th. It should be an in-person meeting. It may be hybrid, but I think we should be meeting at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. And so I'm hoping that next week I should have more detail about that meeting, since it'll be the following day. So I'll try to bring it next Saturday. Right now, we're still just slowly getting back into in-person activities with the National Space Society. And currently, there's not a lot of them yet, but we will have some, I'm sure, as we come up and things open up a little bit more. If you have any questions about National Space Society, or if you'd like to join, please send me an email. It's space@byrom.net. That's SPACE at BYROM.net. Or N5BB, like November 5 Bravo Bravo, at ARRL.net. This is N5BB, net control for Skynet. And now, before the discussion topic for the evening, where you have to unfortunately listen to my voice again, do we have any check-ins or comments? This is N5BB, Skynet. Nothing heard. So, the discussion topic for the evening is from the April 2022 issue of Scientific American. The article is written by Briley Lewis, and the title is Record-Breaking Supernova is Part of a New Class of Objects. They're cow-like. That's COW-like events. A recently spotted bright light in the sky is improving astronomers' understanding of stellar death. So in the article, which is also on the, should be on the live stream if Tom's showing it there, there is a, I'm not looking at the live stream, you'll see a normal supernova on the left and a cow-like event on the right, which looks quite different. The night sky, and that's an artist, it's artwork, that's not a real photograph there. The night sky is filled with blips and flashes, a constantly changing sea of light. Some of these changes are from earthbound happenings, such as aircraft flying overhead, but some are from distant sources in space. Astronomers hunt for these fleeting phenomena known as astronomical transients by observing the sky regularly and looking for differences that appear. This is N5BB Skynet. Researchers recently found a transient that outshines all others like it, a supernova known as AT2020MRF. They described their discovery in a paper posted on the preprint server arxiv.org in December and submitted to the Astrophysical Journal. They also presented it at a virtual press conference at the 2022 American Astronomical Society meeting in January. This supernova was one of the brightest and most energetic stellar deaths ever seen. and it might provide a rare glimpse into how massive stars give birth to some of the universe's strangest objects, black holes and neutron stars. The biggest stars die in spectacular fashion. They explode with the energy of a nonillion. This is one with 30 zeros behind it, atomic bombs. I'll repeat that. One with 30,000 zeros after it, atomic bombs, that much energy in a supernova, shining so bright that we can sometimes even see them in the night sky with our bare eyes. AT2020 MRF was 10,000 times brighter in X-rays than a typical supernova. This is in 5BB. It followed a few other super bright events that have been observed in recent years. Astronomers refer to them as cow-like supernova, or cows, that's COWS, after their first, which was discovered, which was AT2018 COWS. Unlike traditional supernova, cows, when I'm saying cows, it's COWS, cows shine brightly in high-energy X-rays and radio emission. Most supernova shine brightest in visible light. But AT2020 MRF was the brightest cow of the bunch, 20 times brighter than the original. Astronomers Yuhan Yao, that's Yuhan Yao, and Sri Kulkarni, both of the California Institute of Technology, along with Anna Ho at the University of California, Berkeley, and David Purley of Liverpool, John Moores University in England, first spotted this explosion in June 2020 in visible light. Images from the Zwicky Transient Facility, an automated telescope at California's Palomar Observatory. That's abbreviated ZTF, Zwicky Transient Facility at Palomar. The bright spot they saw originally seemed like something unremarkable, and the astronomers ignored this event until almost a year later. Now we have the Spectrum Röntgen Gamma, that's SRG X-ray Observatory. In April 2021, Russian scientists collaborating with Yao's group noticed the same event for reviewing data from the Spectrum Röntgen Gamma, that's SRG X-ray Observatory. Their images from July 2020 showed X-rays at the same location as the bright spot in the ZTF data. Upon hearing the news, Yao's mind jumped straight to the mysterious cat-like events because they are the only type of supernova known to emit so many X-rays. Although a year had passed, the initial explosion from AT2020 MRF was so incredibly bright that Yao suspected she might still be able to see it with the Chandra X-ray Observatory. Her calculations were correct, and observations showed it clearly, glowing 200 times brighter than the original cow a year after the AT2020 MRF explosion. This is N5BB, Skynet, net control. It was really very rewarding when SRG saw this source because we had been thinking that maybe cow-like events can be discovered in X-ray first. This is the first time that one was really discovered in X-ray. Astronomers are still puzzling out what makes these supernovae special. The current theory is that cows have a very active central engine, something left behind by the star's core, such as a black hole devouring matter or a neutron star spinning rapidly that provides energy to the supernova. They also have less material shrouding the central region than most exploding stars, providing a view of their interesting center. The stars that produce cow-like events appear to spew out material as they approach their death, making the environment around them denser and the stars themselves a bit smaller. When they explode, there's less gas in the immediate area around the star's core, allowing X-rays from the central engine to escape. The shock wave the supernova sends through the surrounding space heats up the newly dense environment too, creating the radio emission astronomers observe. Yao thinks that maybe AT2020 MRF was even brighter than most cows because it had thrown off even more mass, allowing the central engine to shine through so brightly in X-rays. This is in 5BB, Skynet. AT2020 MRF is indeed an exciting event, both for what it confirms about the growing class of cow-like objects and what it tells us about the diversity of these mysterious stellar explosions. Since Brian Metzger, an astrophysicist at Columbia University in the Center for Computational Astrophysics. With only 4 previously known cow-like events, AT2020 MRF more firmly establishes this group as a new category of explosion. The recent blast also stands out from his classmates, showing the fascinating diversity of stellar deaths. Although scientists understand the broad strokes of how massive stars die, the details are still fuzzy. This is especially true for certain stages at the end of a star's life, such as the silicon burning stage, the last round of fusion a large star can complete, when it fuses silicon together to create iron. This period lasts only around 18 days out of the star's million to billion year lifetime. Cows may provide a window into that hard-to-observe time frame and sharpen our understanding of how black holes and neutron stars are born within supernova. AT2020 MRF and the other cows are also simply thrilling to scientists. I like the excitement when I just see how one source is different from all others, Yao says. You know, maybe once in a lifetime you'll find one of these events, and you need to take action. You need to stay on top of everything to tell the story of the object. Future observations from the Very C. Rubin Observatory and upcoming Sky Surveying Powerhouse and other telescopes will hopefully give astronomers even more information to work with. End of story. I thought that was just interesting. A new kind of supernova, the cows, and by far the brightest one ever that's recently been recognized from data that was taken before. Anyway, that's all I've got there. Next, let's look for any check-ins or comments. This is N5BB, Skynet. Any check-ins or comments or questions?
Kilo Bravo 9, 0 Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Just checking in.
Sorry, Sean, I didn't have my pen ready. Give me your call sign one more time. I should remember it. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is Kilo Bravo 9, 0 Oscar Kilo.
Of course. I was trying to write Kilo Echo 5, and that's why it wasn't making any sense to me. KB9SOK. I recognize your call very easily, Sean. Thank you very much. Any other check-ins, comments, questions? This is N5BB, Skynet. JJ is making bad, and Tom, bad jokes over on Echolink. They're moving. The cows are moving. And that was an utterly bad joke. And Tom thought it was very moving. Oh, boy. Chaz, you got any cow jokes? C-O-W. Supernova jokes. There may be some jokes about exploding cows. I can just imagine, what would a cow eat to make it explode? Stars are pretty hungry. What do you think, Chaz? What's up, Chaz? What's up? This is N5BB.
So what do you call a cow on the ground? Ground beef. What do you call a cow with 2 legs? Lean beef. Okay, that's enough cow jokes already. Yes, this is Chaz, KF5JHA, and my degree's in astrophysics, and I'm in charge of the astrophysics lab and geology labs at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus, and we call this segment of Skynet Was Up. That's why Bill was saying Was Up. Slide Master, if you're looking at the slides, you're doing better than I am, because I don't have the YouTube thing up, because I'm in the middle of a field. Slide number 2, please. Yesterday, on April the 1st, no fooling, the moon was a new phase, and tonight we saw the crescent moon here in Garland. So the current phase of the moon is a waxing crescent. On April the 7th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 404,438 kilometers. On April the 9th, the moon will be at its first quarter phase. Full moon is on April the 16th. On April the 19th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 365,143 kilometers. On April 23rd, the moon will be at its third quarter phase. Slide Master, slide number 3. Now, there are 8 planets in our solar system. Pluto got demoted back as a dwarf planet back in August of 2006. So, hold out both of your hands outstretched at arm's length, but make them fists, okay? But hold up 3 fingers to represent the following 3 planets. On April the 4th, in the early morning southeastern sky, Saturn, Mars will be in conjunction with Venus, just a little bit further or to the east, just to the left of them. Slide Master, slide number 4. Now, hold up an additional 2 fingers that represent the following planets. On April the 12th, on the morning sky, Jupiter and Neptune will be in the same telescopic field of view. If you've never seen Neptune through a telescope, then this is the opportunity to do it. Yep. Okay, so how many fingers do you have up? You should have 5 fingers up. Only 3 more planets to go. Now, on April the 17th, Mercury and Uranus will make a nice conjunction in the evening west-northwestern sky. So hold up 2 more fingers. That represents those 2 planets. How many fingers are you holding up? Yep, fingers. Oh, 7 fingers. Okay, only 1 more to go. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 6. Now look down at your toes. No, your toes are not planets, but those toes are the 8th and final planet. Oh, next to the toes, that's the Earth. If you want to keep your fingers up during the rest of Skynet, you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend that. So from April the 4th through April the 17th, you have an opportunity to tour the planets of our solar system. Isn't that kind of cool? Slide Master, slide number 7. On the night of April the 21st, 22nd, the Lyrid meteor shower will reach their maximum with a zenith hourly rate of around 18. Unfortunately, the nearly full moon will interfere with the observing of the meteor shower. Remember, the best time to see meteors is the hour before morning twilight. I always suggest a visit to Texas state parks or wildlife refuges because there are 80 of them, and most of them are away from the city lights. Slide Master, slide number 8, please. On the night of April 23rd, 24th, Pi Puppet, or Puppet, meteor shower will peak with a zenith hourly rate of up to 40. Once again, the full moon will interfere with observing these meteors. Have I mentioned that there's 80 state parks and wildlife refuges that are great to do observing from? Yeah, I think I have. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 9, please. Once again, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on April the 22nd. That's a Friday at 7:30 p.m. I believe it's still on Zoom. Dr. Matthew Stiegler, an SMU professor, will be speaking about different NASA missions. And of course, the public star parties have started again. I'm live from Garland Star Party, called the Stargazer Star Party. It happens on the first Saturday of each month. TexasAstro.org is the website to get up-to-date information. Slide Master, slide number 10, please. Do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on information? Someone just whispered out here, I'm sure glad he has a script. Or do you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I know he's a friend that's doing this to me, yeah. But I might know the answer to your question, or maybe someone else on the net might know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Mr. Tony, go ahead.
Well, maybe I've breathed in too much bat gas, I'm not sure. But I don't want to miss seeing Neptune. I've never done that before. Is there any good place you can go or recommend to, I don't know, get more information, a map, a direction to look, tips or advice? NT5TM.
Well, believe it or not, if you want to get something, let's see now, you might have access to my Google Drive that I have the slides that I prepare for the Skynet. And it does have a map of where you can zoom in and take a look at Jupiter. But Jupiter and Neptune will be in the same field of view on that date, on April the 12th. So, same telescopic field of view. So all you need is a telescope, look at Jupiter, and you're going to find Neptune. It'll be perpendicular to the plane of where the moons are. The moons, you're going to be able to see all 4 moons, and it depends on how your telescope is oriented. It's going to be perpendicular, either up or down, and that'll be Neptune. Neptune will have a little bit of a bluish cast to it. Did that help you out?
Maybe I think I'm going to go hunting online. I'll share if I find anything. NT5TM.
One of the easy things to do is download some free software called Stellarium. It's free. Go to Stellarium. I think it's .org, I think. Anyway, go to Stellarium, download it. It's free for your computer. It works on Apples as well as PCs. Even runs on Linux boxes if you haven't got a Linux box. And what you can do is set it up for right here, Dallas, and set it up for April the 14th, April the 12th, early in the morning, and it'll show you it. You can zoom in, zoom out, all sorts of things for the Stellarium. So hopefully that'll be something that can help you out. All right, well, thank you, Tony. Slide Master, slide number 11. So as the moon waned at the end of March, so are these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world, pray for Ukraine too, but pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. And until next week, actually, I'll be doing another segment of Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, KF5, JHA. Back to our net control. Bill, N5BB.
Well, thank you very much, Chaz. This is N5BB, and wow, I think the net's rolling along pretty good here. Next, let's see, I don't think Kelly is here. So, Brenda, this must be your night for space exploration news. Go ahead, Brenda, WB50ZL, N5BB with Skynet.
Indeed it is. This is WB50ZL. In news, Wally Funk. She delivers remarks after accepting the 2022 Michael Collins Trophy for Lifetime Achievement. And that was on Thursday, March 24th. It was actually last week. 2022 at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum's Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center in Chantilly, Virginia. The Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum's Michael Collins Trophy recognizes extraordinary accomplishments in aeronautics and spaceflight. Funk was a member of the First Lady astronaut trainees. The so-called Mercury 13 was a group of women who trained to become astronauts for America's first human spaceflight program in the early 60s. Although it was never an official NASA program, the commitment of these women paved the way for others who followed. In July of 2021, after a lifetime of groundbreaking achievements, an 82-year-old Wally Funk finally traveled to space aboard Blue Origin, becoming the oldest person to travel in space. Next up, a little note about Artemis 1. Don't be left behind. You can send your name to the moon on a flash drive on the Artemis 1 mission. There's a link on the NASA website. 1.7 million people have already signed up, including me. I'd like to have a personal note here. In 1969, I was in college at UT, and Alan Bean was an alumnus, and we were quite proud of him. He was about to go to the moon. And so they had a little table set up on campus where you could sign your name, and they were going to microfiche these signatures, and Alan was going to take it to the moon with him. I was so excited. It only cost me $1, and it went to charity. Unfortunately, NASA wouldn't let him take it. I was so disappointed, so I'll feel a little bit better now that we're doing this. Next, Hubble finds farthest star. A team of astronomers using NASA's venerable Hubble Space Telescope has taken observations of a light from the farthest single star ever detected, a massive star born with the first billion years of our universe's existence. Estimated to be at least 50 times the mass of our own sun and millions of times brighter, NASA reports that the newly detected star, dubbed Earendel, rivals most of the stars known, and Earendel is a name from Tolkien. NASA says that the discovery was made from data collected during the Hubble Relics program led by Dan Coe at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore. The observations are detailed in a paper appearing in the journal Nature. Located in the southern constellation of Cetus in the same vicinity of the sky as Mira, the detected star is so far away that its light has taken 12.9 billion years to reach Earth. Thus, it appears to us as it did when the universe was only 7% of its current age, at redshift 6.2, says NASA. We almost didn't believe it at first, so it was so much farther than the previous most distant, highest redshift star, said astronomer Brian Welch of the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, and the paper's lead author said in a statement. The team was able to make these observations via microlensing, in which light from a more distant background object is gravitationally magnified by light from a more nearby, unseen foreground object. In this case, the star dubbed Earendel was magnified by a factor of 1,000 times by the huge galaxy cluster WHL0137-08, which lies comparatively close by at a redshift of 0.566. Ice volcanoes on Pluto may still be erupting. An area of Pluto that researchers think was formed from the eruption of ice volcanoes is unique on the dwarf planet and in the solar system, a new study suggests. NASA's New Horizons mission, which launched in 2006, took detailed photos of the surface of Pluto, a dwarf planet and the largest object in the Kuiper Belt. Now, a new analysis examines images of an area containing two main mounds that scientists have proposed are ice volcanoes. In the study, the researchers conclude that the surface around these mounds was likely formed by fairly recent activity of the ice volcanoes or cryovolcanoes. The finding raises the possibility that these volcanoes may still be active and that liquid water or something like it flows or recently flowed under the surface of Pluto. Recent activity also means that there is likely more heat in Pluto's interior than scientists previously thought. Given other recent research, the scientists say their work could even raise the possibility of life existing under Pluto's surface. Next, astronaut birthdays. William O'Fallon, March 29, 1965. He flew on STS-16. William Frederick Fisher, April 1st, 1946. STS-51I. Patrick G. Forrester, March 31st, 1957. STS-105, 117, and 128. Michael Foreman, March 29th, 1957. STS-123 and 129. Joseph M. Prahl, March 30th, 1943, STS-50. Space history. Smuggled food. The first corned beef sandwich to orbit Earth was smuggled aboard Gemini 3 on March 23rd, 1965. As contraband unapproved for flight by NASA, pilot John Young had hidden this sandwich in a pocket of his spacesuit shortly before launch. After around 2 hours into the almost 5-hour-long flight, he offered some to the commander of the mission, Gus Grissom, who accepted the rye bread and preserved meat gift. The exchange over the sandwich lasted less than a minute and ended with Grissom putting the unfinished sandwich away in his own spacesuit pocket so that the breadcrumbs that were breaking off would be less likely to float behind an instrument panel or into one of the astronauts' eyes. After which, they enjoyed the approved menu, food cubes covered in gel, and rehydrated applesauce. And more food. In March of 1982, Jack Loosma and Gordon Fullerton flew in the third shuttle mission, STS-3. This also marked the first candy flown in space, M&M candies. Unfortunately, the candy returned to Earth uneaten for whatever reason. The candies were flown on every shuttle since. NASA chose M&Ms because of their thermal stability characteristics. And I think you know what that means. As a footnote, M&Ms were invented in the 40s for soldiers in the field during World War II because they didn't melt. April 2nd, 1958, Eisenhower proposed the establishment of NASA. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, in a message to Congress, proposed the establishment of a national space agency into which the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics would be absorbed. The new agency would conduct the civilian space program through research in its own facilities or by contract, and would also perform military research required by DoD. Projects primarily military in character would remain the responsibility of DoD. A National Aeronautics and Space Board, appointed by the President and composed of eminent persons outside of the government and representatives of interested government agencies, with at least one member from DoD, was to assist the President and the Director of the National Aeronautics and Space Agency. And if you're looking at the feed, there's two images, the patches, NASA patches. One is the red and white worm, and one is which is boring, and if that's your favorite, you have every right to be wrong. And the beautiful meatball, which is my favorite. Okay, so Jeanette, WB50ZL.
Very good, Brenda. Does anybody have any comments, questions for Brenda, or late check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf, Uniform Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas, and a quick comment. Late check-in also.
Okay, before we go with your comment, Gus, are there any other late check-ins or other people with comments? This is N5BB, Skynet. Unheard. Take it away, Gus.
Okay, thank you, Bill. I was watching a travel show the other night, and there was some museum, I think it's in Florida somewhere, that has that corned beef sandwich that Brenda mentioned, that Gus Grissom and the guys, they have that corned beef sandwich in Lucite in some museum. I think it's in Florida. Back to net, W5GUS.
Oh, my. Does anyone listening here have any more details about the corned beef sandwich in 5BB? Nothing heard, nothing on Echolink. I was thinking that JJ might ask how many cows had to give their lives for NASA sending corned beef sandwiches up into orbit, but he did not even ask that. No jokes about cows and corned beef. Anyway, well, very good. Thank you, Gus. Okay, next, it's time for Ms. Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Take it away, Chaz. This is N5BB.
Hello, everyone. This is Chaz, KF5JHA, and Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week from almost the beginning in 2012 until May of 2019 with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations in Texas that you can see from Texas, out of the 88 total constellations, Miss Carolyn covered basically the entire sky is seen over North Texas in about a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's constellations of the week this week are Leo the Lion and Leo Minor the Small Lion. Now, Leo is one of the zodiac constellations and is the 12th largest constellation in size, occupying an area of 947 square degrees. Leo is one of the oldest constellations in the sky. Archaeology evidence suggests that Mesopotamians had a constellation similar to Leo as early as 4000 BC. That's 6,000 years ago. The Persians knew the constellation as Shir or Seir. Babylonians call it the Great Lion. The Greeks associated Leo with Nemean lion, the beast killed by Hercules during the first of the 12 labors. So the lion was placed in the constellation because it's the king of beasts. So the entire reason why you stay up this late is for the jokes of the week. I know you do. So I hope the people around me here at the Star Party will laugh at these two. What kind of animals and how many do you need to make a square? 4 lions. I already told that one here. Oh, well. What do you call a lion with chicken pox? A dotted lion. I already told you these here, didn't I? Didn't I hear? Yeah? Okay. What do you call a lion wearing a stylish hat? A dandy lion. What's a lion running a copy machine called? A copycat. And okay, we only have a couple more to go through. How do you know lions are religious? Because they pray frequently and they pray as a family. And the last one for this segment, I know, I hear you cheering and applauding out there. What street do lions live on? Main Street. And this is KF5JJ. Please go to slide number 14, please. To find Leo in the sky, let us start with something familiar. Orion. Find Orion in the southwestern sky tonight. The two shoulder stars are Bellatrix and Betelgeuse. I call it Betelgeuse instead of Betelgeuse. If you say it 3 times in a row, you're in trouble. Draw a line from right to left from Bellatrix to Betelgeuse. And keep on going. You should run into the brightest star in Canis Minor called Procyon. Keep drawing the line until Procyon, and you should run into the brightest star in Leo called Regulus. Slide Master, slide number 15, please. Regulus, or Alpha Leonis, means the little king. Robert Burnham notes in Burnham's Celestial Handbook that Regulus, the star Regulus, has been almost universally associated with ancient cultures with royalty and kingly power. Regulus is a multiple star system with Regulus B and C easily observable in just about any instrument as a single star, but it appears as a single star split with a large instrument in good seeing conditions. Didn't try that tonight. Could have tried it, I guess, and we did not. Algebra, I want to say algebra, but it's not. Algebra, Gamma Leonis is derived from the Arabic phrase which means the lion's mane. This is an interesting double star with a primary having an orange-red color and the comparison of a yellow-green, which means it's a nice color contrast. I actually looked at it this evening. Just 2 degrees to the north of Gamma Leonis is the radiant for the famous Leonid meteor shower. Shower peaks on November 17th of each year, and its origination is the comet 55P Temple Tuttle. Slide Master, slide number 16, please. Here in the city, we can't see it, but the Leo triplet, or Leo trio, M65, M66, and NGC 3628. We tried to look at it tonight, couldn't find it. These 3 galaxies are so close together, it's easy to fit all 3 of them in the same low-powered field of view. They can be observed with as small as a 3-inch telescope. We looked at it with a, what was it, an 8-inch scope we looked at it with earlier? Yeah. Oh, it was a larger telescope than that. They look like fuzzballs of different shapes, and an 8-inch telescope easily shows all 3 galaxies. Photographs show a warp of NGC 3628's dust lane, an asymmetrical spiral structure in M66, which contributes to their listings on the ARP Atlas of Peculiar Galaxies. Slide Master, slide number 17, please. M105 is an elliptical galaxy. Dave Hutchinson writes that in an 8-inch celestron, it looks essentially like a big fuzz cotton ball. In his book, The Messier Objects, Stephen J. Miro says M105 is perhaps the purest object in the Messier catalog, in that its slightly oval disk shows the least amount of imperfection. M105 has 2 nearby but somewhat fainter companions, NGC 3384, NGC 3389. It can be easily fit in the same field of view. There are also 2 more distant galaxies, Messier M95 and 96. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Slide Master, slide number 18. M95 and M96, Dave Hutchinson writes that M95 and 96 are 2 beautiful spiral galaxies can be seen in the same field of view using an 8-inch Schmidt-Castor bearing. Wide field of view, and at 20 power, you may be able to see M105 as well as M95 and 96 at the same time. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 19. Leo Minor is a small constellation in the north sky, and Only one star is brighter than fourth magnitude. The constellation's name means the smaller or lesser lion in Latin. Leo Minor was created in 1687 from about 18 stars from in between the constellations of Leo and Ursa Major. There's no myths associated with it. It's the 64th constellation in size and only 232 square degrees in size. Slide Master, slide number 20. Beta Leonis. Beta Leonis Minoris. That's a mouthful. It's the only star in Leo Minor that has a Greek letter name. It's the second brightest star in the constellation. Beta Leonis Minoris is a binary star. Components have stellar designations G8 Roman numeral 3 and F8 Roman numeral 4, which means they are a yellow giant subgiant and a yellow-white subgiant. The brightest star is 36 times more luminous than the Sun and about twice the mass, about 7.8 times the mass as the radius of the Sun. The companion star is 5.8 more times luminous than the Sun and 1.35 solar masses in size. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 21, please. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Haney's Bulwarp is a quasar ionization echo. It's a rare type of astronomical object that was considered to be unidentified astronomical object in the time of its discovery. It was first spotted by Hanny van Arkel. Hanny van Arkel. It's a Dutch school teacher in 2007. It's a recent discovery. She discovered the object while taking part in Galaxy Zoo Project as an amateur volunteer. The object's name, Hanny's Bulwarp, means Hanny's object in Dutch. Astronomers found that Hanny's Bulwarp is the only visible part of a 300 light-year-long gaseous streamer stretching around the galaxy IC 2497. Wow, kind of interesting. Slide Master, slide number 22. There are more Astronomical League observing program objects than Leo and Leo Minor. I've just given you a few of these objects. The Astronomical League has about 73 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. If you observe 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pin in about a year. Slide number 23, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Leo, the Lion, and Leo Minor, the Small Lion. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson, Dennis Harwell for their research and words on deep sky objects that I've used, borrow, and I always steal them for tonight and every Skynet. Also, at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Next time, I'll look at Pyxis, the compass, and Antilla, the pump. And this is KF5JJ sending it back to our net control in 5 BB. It's all yours, 73, everyone. I'm backing up.
Very good, Chaz. Now let's roll over to Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, do we have any recent astronomical discoveries that you would like to let us know about in 5BB? Skynet.
Yes, this is WB50ZL. Seems that Mercury has magnetic storms. An international team of scientists has proved that Mercury, our solar system's smallest planet, has geomagnetic storms similar to those on Earth. The research by scientists in the United States, Canada, and China includes work by Hui Zhang, a space physics professor at the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute. Their finding, first, answers the question of whether other planets, including those outside our solar system, can have geomagnetic storms regardless of the size of their magnetosphere or whether they have an Earth-sized ionosphere. The research was published in 2 papers in February. Zhang is among the co-authors of each paper. The first of these papers proves the planet has a ring current, a donut-shaped field of charged particles flowing laterally around the planet and excluding the poles. The second proves the existence of geomagnetic storms triggered by the ring current. A geomagnetic storm is a major disturbance in a planet's magnetosphere caused by the transfer of energy from the solar wind. Such storms in Earth's magnetosphere produce the aurora and can disrupt radio communications. The geomagnetic storms finding was published February 18th in the journal Science China Technological Sciences. Guigang Zhong of the Institute of Space Physics and Applied Technology at Peking University and the Polar Research Institute of China is the author. That paper built on a finding published one day earlier that verified through data observation earlier suggestions that Mercury has a ring current. Earth also has a ring current. The ring current paper published in Nature Communications is authored by Zhutong Zhao, also of the Institute of Space Physics and Applied Technology of Peking University. 7 of the 14 scientists involved worked on both papers. The processes are quite similar to those here on Earth, as Zhang said, of Mercury's magnetic storms. The main differences are the size of the planet, and Mercury has a weak magnetic field and virtually no atmosphere. Confirmation about geomagnetic storms on Mercury results from research made possible by a fortuitous coincidence. A series of coronal mass ejections from the Sun on April 8 through 18th, 2015, and the end of NASA's Messenger probe, which launched in 2004 and crashed into the planet's surface on April 30th, 2015 at the expected end of its mission. A coronal mass ejection, or CME, is an ejected cloud of the Sun's plasma, a gas made of charged particles. That cloud includes the plasma's embedded magnetic field. The coronal mass ejection of April 14th proved to be the key for scientists. It compressed Mercury's ring current on the sun-facing side and increased the current's energy. New analysis of data from Messenger, which had dropped closer to the planet, shows the presence of a ring current intensification that is essential for triggering magnetic storms. The second one of the two papers reads, the sudden intensification of a ring current causes the main phase of the magnetic storm, but this doesn't mean Mercury has auroral displays like those on Earth. On Earth, the storms produce aurora displays when solar wind particles interact with particles of the atmosphere. On Mercury, however, solar wind particles don't encounter an atmosphere. Instead, they reach the surface unimpeded and may therefore be visible only through X-ray and gamma-ray examination. The results of the two papers show that magnetic storms are potentially a common feature of magnetized planets. The results obtained from Messenger provide a further fascinating insight into Mercury's place in the evolution of the solar system following the discovery of its intrinsic planetary magnetic field, it concludes. And that's all we got. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Very good, Brenda. This is N5BB Skynet. Do we have any late check-ins? N5BB, go ahead. I'm going to check in Joe KG5ZMG because he's been over on Echolink for a while, and he discovered, after doing a Google search, that the Sandwich and Lucite is at the Grissom Memorial Museum in Mitchell, Indiana. So evidently it's not in Florida, according to what Joe found on Google. I haven't had a chance to look, though. The Grissom Memorial Museum in Mitchell, Indiana. How about that? Sandwich and Lucite. Okay, Tom, do we have any really quick, do we have any visible satellite passages we need to know about in KE5ICX and 5BB?
W5FC.
Bill, I'll give you just one that I think everybody would probably appreciate. The ISS going over on April 4th, minus 3.8 magnitude at 21 at 04 or 9:04 p.m. in the evening. It reached its highest point at 21:07 and it falls at 21:08 at 41 degrees. Now that does go into shadow, and then the following evening, April 5th, gives you a full pass at 47 degrees, about the same coordinates. So check those out. They're both definitely good passes.
I'm completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly. Afterglow Movie Net.
Very good, Tom. Okay, do we have any last comments before we close the net? This is N5BB, Skynet Net Control. Last chance. Tonight we had 29 hams participating on the air and Echolink. Thank you to everybody who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, send an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is N5BB. Bill, I'll be closing a net at 10:31 p.m. local time. Returning a repeater to normal use for a short amount of time before afterglow interferes with the normality. I will not be there. I was too busy today, and I got to go to bed early and get up early in the morning. 73, everybody. Enjoy the evening discovering the universe. This is N5BB closing a net and going to K5ICX for Afterglow.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for doing the net. This is KE5ICX. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, to talk about Batman, the movie from 1966 with Adam West and Burt Ward. 5 minutes. We'll see you then. Bye. minutes are up. And this is KE5ICX. Tonight's movie is Batman from 1966. Is it science fiction? Maybe. But it's kind of fun, too. So that was the pick for this week. Let me tell you a little bit about the movie, and then I'll tell you about the net. So this is a 1966 American superhero film based on the Batman television series and the first full-length theatrical adaptation of DC Comics character Batman. Released by 20th Century Fox, the film starred Adam West as Batman, Burt Ward as Robin. The film hit theaters 2 months after the last episode of the first season of the television series. The film includes most members of the original TV cast, with the exception of Julie Newmar, who played Catwoman in the first 2 seasons. For the movie, she was replaced by Lee Merriweather. So here's the plot. Let's see here. When Batman and Robin get a tip that Commodore Schmalak is in danger aboard his yacht, they launch a rescue mission using the Batcopter. As Batman descends the Bat Ladder to land on the yacht, it suddenly vanishes beneath him. He rises out of the sea with a shark attached to his leg. After Batman dislodges it with Bat Shark repellent, the shark explodes. Batman and Robin head back to Commissioner Gordon's office, where they deduce the tip was a setup by the United Underworld, a gathering of 4 of the most powerful villains in Gotham City: the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, and the Catwoman. 4 criminals equip themselves with a dehydrator that can turn humans into dust, an invention of Schmidlaps, who has been unaware that he has been kidnapped. Escape to a war-surplus pre-atomic submarine made to resemble a penguin, and recruit 3 pirate-themed henchmen: Bluebeard, Morgan, and Quetch. Batman and Robin learn that the yacht has really a holographic projection and return via the Batboat to the buoy concealing the projector, where they are trapped and on the buoy by a magnet and targeted by torpedoes. You'd think they'd learn something, because that happened in the first season. They use the radio detonator to destroy 2 of the missiles, and the porpoise sacrifices itself to intercept the last one. Catwoman, disguised as Soviet journalist Tatiana Kariska Alisov, or acronym to Kitka, helps the group kidnap Bruce Wayne and pretends to be kidnapped with him as part of a plot to lure Batman and finish him off with another of Penguin's explosive animals, not knowing that Bruce Wayne is Batman's alter ego. After Bruce Wayne fights his way out of captivity, he disguises himself as Batman, and the dynamic duo returns to the United Underworld's HQ, only to find a smoking bomb. Batman is met with frustration, rushing all over the docks in hopes of locating a safe place to dispose of a bomb, but does so in just the nick of time. Just some days you can't get rid of a bomb. The Penguin disguises himself as the Commodore and schemes his way into that cave along with 5 dehydrated henchmen. This plan fails when the henchmen unexpectedly disappear into antimatter once struck. The Penguin mistakenly rehydrated them with toxic heavy water used to recharge the Bat Cave's atomic pile, leaving them highly unstable. Ultimately, Batman and Robin are unable to prevent the kidnapping of the dehydrated United World Organization Security Council, giving chase in the Batboat to retrieve them, and Miss Kitka, presumed by the duel as still captive. Robin uses the sonic charge weapon to disable the Penguin's submarine and force it to the surface, where fist fights ensue. Although Batman and Robin come out on top, Batman is heartbroken to find that his true love, Miss Kitka, is actually Catwoman. When her mask falls off, Commodore Schmidlapp accidentally breaks the vials containing the powdered council members and sneezes on them, scattering the dust. Batman sets to work constructing an elaborate super-molecular dust separator to filter the mingled dust. Robin asks whether he might be the world's best interest for them is to alter the dust samples so that the humans can no longer harm one another in response. Batman says they can't do so, reminding Robin of the fate of Penguin's henchmen and their tainted rehydration. Can only hope for people in general to learn to live together peacefully on their own. With the world watching, the Security Council is rehydrated. All the members are restored, alive and well, but continue to squabble amongst themselves, totally oblivious of their surroundings. However, each of them now speaks the language and displays the stereotypical mannerisms of a nation other than their own. Batman quietly expresses his sincere hope to Robin that this strange mixing of minds does more good than harm. The duo quietly leaves United World Headquarters by climbing out the window and descending on their bat ropes. The end. And with that, I'll tell you how this is played. Most of you already know, but somebody out there may want to get involved. We are going to talk about the movie Batman the movie from 1966. The first round will be check-ins, and we will discuss the plot. What did you think about the plot for this particular movie? The second round, we talk about characterization and the acting. Let's see whatever you think about the characters in the movie. And then the third round is usually special effects and anything else you want to bring to the movie. Sometimes we have an optional fourth round. It just depends on how much discussion we have. So I'm going to go ahead and take check-ins at this point. When I do so, I'm going to ask you for your call sign, your name, and whether you saw the movie. You do not have to have seen the movie. In fact, there's plenty of Batman stuff out there, so there's plenty to talk about, whether you saw the film or not. But if you did, let me know so I can ask the appropriate question. All right, we will begin. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign, your name, and did you see Batman the movie from 1966? Let's go.
W5BLT, Bill, Whiskey 5, bacon, lettuce, tomato, yes.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas, yes, and so did Eric.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda DeSoto, yes.
Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Tango Sierra Kilo, Burrow in Dallas. Yes, I saw the movie.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth, on my bat radio. Yes, I've seen the movie.
That's a pretty good check-in. Don't worry, Echo Lake, I'm coming to you next. W5BLT, Bill, yes, he saw the movie. NT5TM, Tony and Aaron, they saw the movie. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda, she saw the movie. K5TSK, Burl and Dallas, welcome back, Burl, he saw the movie. KB9SOK, Sean, over in Fort Worth, yes, he saw the movie. Let me ask over air any additional check-ins there about, if you'd like to check in, please come with your call sign, your name, and did you see Batman, the movie from 1966? All right, I'm going to move over to Echolink. I see a few people over on Echolink who have not checked in yet. If you'd like to do so, please come now with your call sign, your name, and did you see Batman the movie from 1966? Echolink only, please.
Echo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J near Weatherford. I did see most of it.
All right, we picked up Jay, KG5BZW, and he did see the movie. He's over near Weatherford. Anyone else who'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign, your name, and did you see the movie this week? All right, thanks. Hopefully everybody, I know there was some confusion about the movie this week. They pulled it on April 1st. Sometimes streaming services pull a movie the first day of the month. So hopefully everybody got a chance to see it. I sent links to alternates, so hopefully you got a chance to see it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna go down the list. So we'll start with Bill, W5BLT. Bill, what did you think of the plot of Batman the movie?
Okay, W5BLT. I actually found it on archive.org. I had watched part of it on YouTube and then had to scramble to find the rest of it. I remember watching it as a little kid. I loved the plot. Growing up, my parents laughed at the movie, and I kind of laughed at it. It's nothing that we took real serious. It was just a lot of fun and cheesy in some places. I think you had to probably watch the first two seasons to get kind of the plot and the characters. I had, let me break for a second. Had my daughter watch it and provided some descriptive video for me, so I knew what was going on in the movie, on the scenes and stuff, and I realized the plot was kind of lost on her. So I think you had to, maybe if you didn't understand the first the four villains, maybe some of it would be lost on you. But I love the plot. I love the whole premise of it, and but I do think you had to probably, to maybe understand the plot, maybe have been more familiar with the old Batman movies. W5BLT.
Thank you, Bill. I have a similar story to share at the end here. Next up is NT5TM, Tony and Aaron by extension. What did you two think of Batman the movie? Was this the first time you've seen it? Because when I saw it in a theater, and I was, 11? No, I was 8. So go ahead, Tony, from KE5ICX.
Aaron had seen this movie some time ago. This was my first time watching it. I think that neither of us ever had a chance to see it in the theater. I think Aaron was a little disappointed that I did not find it as funny as she did. I enjoyed it. I thought it was grin-worthy, but I was hoping for more lose control laughing moments, like in Faulty Towers or something, whereas instead I just found it consistently amusing. But that's okay. I certainly did see a lot of Batman when I was little, but that was some time ago, so I've forgotten a lot of details. I liked a lot of the little cinematic in-joke touches, like the instant costume change lever. That's a lot of movies seem to have those, but they don't admit it. And I guess I should save that positive comment for the character round. So it was pleasant. It was funny. The plot was just so amusingly operatic, from the way people can't recognize one another because they're wearing tiny little masks.
which is especially funny to an amateur radio operator because, frankly, I recognize people in large degree by their voices. So, you know, Tom, if you wear a little mask like that, I might say, oh my gosh, who is that strange Caucasian person? And then as soon as you say something like hello, I'm going to be like, oh, hi, Tom. We're on radio. We're used to judging people by what they sound like. Oh, that's you. Hi. But, you know, just the complicated plot and all the strange incidents, it really makes me imagine some sort of strange opera. I don't know, the Flater Helden, the Bat Heroes, the Flying Heroes, I guess. The Flater Mounts Helden? I don't know. My German's pretty poor. Anyway, I guess I've got the sleep goofies. But the plot was complicated in a fun way, and although I didn't enjoy it perhaps as laboriously as I did some things, it was fun. And Aaron had fond memories of it, too. NT5TM.
All right, thank you, Tony. And I got comments on that, too. Coming up is now Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, what did you think of Batman the movie?
This is WB50ZL. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought the plot was fine. I mean, it's just a bunch of silly stuff, but that's okay. It held my attention, I'll say that. I don't know if I saw it before. I always watched the TV show and enjoyed that a lot, but I don't have any recollection of this actual movie, but it has been a long time. But I lived in Austin in 1966, so I well remember that it was premiered. It was a big deal, and a lot of people were downtown Austin at the Paramount Theater, which is the theater I usually went to as a child. And I think they had the Batboat there on display. I thought they had the Batmobile too at one time, but I couldn't find any documentation about that. That was a bad week for Austin. The movie premiered on August the 5th, and on August the 1st, personal story, that was the day that Charles Whitman went up into the tower and shot dozens of people on the UT campus. And I stood on the front porch of the tower building and watched the mass murder unfold in front of me. So that week was kind of was just in kind of a haze after that. I must have seen it in the theater at some point later, but I just don't remember it. But I'm a big Batman fan, always was. I enjoy it, for what it is. It's not sophisticated entertainment, but it's just fun, and it hit the mark on that. WB50ZL, back to net.
All right, thank you, Brenda. And yeah, I think later on they reintroduced it into theaters, like the movie itself. I think it came out again for a weekend only 2 years later, because I seem to remember going and seeing it a second time later. Okay, next up is Burl, KF5TSK. Burl, welcome back, and what did you think of Batman the movie from 1966?
This is Burl. My initial thoughts was I was expecting a sci-fi action movie, and as I watched it, I enjoyed it more as a comedy and not really an action movie. And some things were just too ridiculous to, believe. I might have believed it when I initially saw it, but a submarine firing Polaris missiles and the remote bat, whatever, knocking down the missiles, and too many things were just too ridiculous to believe, and so I enjoyed it, but it was like my perception of it, really changed. I thought the plot was really involved and it's really complicated. So many things were, perception of Batman and, the magnetic boy and, probably when I was younger I would have believed it, but, how much do you believe now? K5TSK back to that.
All right, thank you, Burl. Got some comments on that, too. Writing notes. KV9SOK, Sean, your thoughts on Batman the movie?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, I do, too, remember seeing this movie as a very young child. In fact, I think I was, really young, probably around the age of 4 or 5. But I remember watching it back then, and I was a fan of the TV show, and I remember just enjoying it as a kid. And it really, I don't think I've seen it since then. And I did remember parts of it, and it's funny how, obviously I see it now different than I did as a kid. Of course, back then that was, it was Batman, so, he was like a true superhero, and now as an adult watching that same film, it just, it did make me laugh. I realized, this time seeing it, that it was, definitely more comedy than seriousness, which is okay. It's good sometimes to have something lighter hearted than, some of the more modern day, Batman's, got very gritty, all the superhero movies, and, somebody's got to die off, and it's just, some of them are just downright depressing. Especially, the Batman versus Superman movie I thought was just horrible. So, sometimes it's kind of nice just to have a happy-go-lucky superhero movie where, the good guys win in the end, and, it's just fun. The plot, to get to that, of course it was ridiculous. It was the 1960s Batman. But, that was, most of that was meant to be comedy. I believe in the opening credits, where they were showing the wall, I think there was something alluded right along that point, basically saying that, this is not to be taken seriously kind of a thing. And that's the way you got to watch this one. It's definitely not, the science is bogus. The plot was kind of crazy. I didn't think it was really that complicated to follow. I thought it was pretty easy to follow, but it's obviously just ridiculous with the, what was going on. But that was the charm of it, and obviously all the one-liners and corniness, and, So it's I ain't gonna say it's my favorite movie by any means, but I enjoyed it. I think it's probably, oddly as this movie is, it's probably one of the better movies we've seen in a while. And it's just, it was just a good time. It's just, you gotta take it for what it was. And it's very obvious that the characters, like, they really can't tell who each other was. But, once again, it was just, this thing was really meant for kids, and it is just a lot of fun. So that's really all I got to say on that one. So back to that, KB9SOK.
Right, very good. Thank you, Sean. Next up is Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, your thoughts on the plot for Batman the movie?
This is KG5BZW. Okay, it's one of those things that if you weren't familiar with the series, I don't think you really like the film. I mean, you might if you liked the series and knew what was. I mean, what am I trying to say? I just feel like it's been made for people that have seen the series, which makes total sense and all, but oh man, it's just so silly. Which handle things. You know, this film, I have a feeling I have seen this film before the recent, excuse me, before the recent viewing. I have this vague recollection of the dehydrated pirates and the dehydrated United Nations or Security Council, and of course they had separate. The pirates were all gray, and oh, it's just so silly. It's like I can appreciate the silliness of it, but at the same time, oh man, you really have to be in the mood for that. It's just over the top. I'm actually kind of glad they did, grittier versions of Batman later on. But of course, I mean, then the question is, what's really better? Something that's over the top, silly, and doesn't even pretend to be serious, or one that actually pretends to be serious, or is more than pretending, it's actually kind of serious, and but the characters were never really meant to be serious in the first place, and I don't know. I don't think I've even touched the plot. I'm just commenting on the whole thing. I really don't know what to make of it. If I was to show someone who had never seen it before this, I would want to show them the series first before. That's how I would just put it, because there's just so many questions that don't make sense, and it's clearly absurdity for the sake of absurdity, which is, its own form of humor, but it's really kind of weird when you haven't been exposed to it for a while and then are re-exposed to it. I mean, I kind of remember it being this way with a series that like I said, I think I've seen the film. I remember something about this, but wow, it really it's just over the top. I don't know how to put it, and it's hard to comment on the plot without commenting on the silliness, and it's really just. I mean, oh, the jokes are so. The banana joke. I was like, what? Ballpoint banana. What is this? I just don't know. Anyway, I can't say anything else. I'm just at a loss for words. It's not bad. It's just so weird and kind of, I don't know. KG5BCW, I give up.
All right, Jay, thank you. Now I'll open it up to anybody who'd like to join us this evening. Tonight's movie, we're talking about Batman from 1966. There was a movie that came out between the first and second season of the very popular television series. And I'll go ahead and take check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign, your name, did you see the movie? And even if you didn't, you can talk about the TV series or Batman in general if you didn't see either of the movies or television shows. So please come now. KFI, the Jigsaw movie, but on his racing road. Great movie, I like it. Okay, well, thank you, Chaz. Your signal is fading badly, so you're going to have to sit on top of your car.
KI5KWG, this is Cruz in Arlington, and I did see that movie when I was 6.
welcome. Did you get this right? KI5KWJ, is that right?
Close. That's Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf, and my bad for not doing the phonetics.
Okay, I'll learn your call eventually. I should know it anyway, but I got you in. And I'm coming back to you in just a sec. I forgot to ask for others. Anyone else who want to check in, please come now. All right, Chaz has a terrible signal. I think he let his battery run down. He sounded great earlier this evening, and now it's not so good. So maybe they've closed up shop and he's headed home. We'll come back to him in a bit. Cruz, what'd you think? I just see some of your notes on Facebook. Just some real quick comments about it. What did you think about the movie from KE5ICX?
KI5KWG, yes. I've always loved the bomb scene, and in fact, there's kind of a connection here. As I tried to check in with my HT on the back porch, as I usually do, and just couldn't hit the repeater with that, so I had to move inside to my bigger radio. But the reason I have to try to do it on my back porch is I'm one of those drinky people, which Batman and Robin discuss after the bomb is finally disposed, is basically why did you bother to save the people in the bar? And Batman responds is just because they're drink, they're still human. I love that. Anyway, so I was having my beer, enjoying that thought again. But back inside, I had one real comment about the plot and basically the series in general. I was 5 that first season, and I remember my big brother, telling me what it was saying on the screen because I was asking, and he was telling me it's boom and bam and stuff. So I was a pre-reader at that point, but I was reading by the time the film came out, and it was the film that I really realized this was not an action story I had been watching on the TV, that this was really a comedy. So it was a major perspective shift for me watching that film, and I still enjoy. I just see clips on YouTube. I haven't gone back and watched the whole film, but I thought I'd go ahead and do that Wayback Machine that the film produces in me. Let me reset. And in that seeing Batman as a child and then seeing the comedy in it as an adult, that was kind of an interesting thing from that time frame. I think that's about all I've got on this. So KI5KWG, and back to you, Nat.
All right, thank you, Cruz. And I think you had the best comment out of all of this because that's how it struck me. I was a kid, of course, and I saw it, and I remember the first season, and I remember watching the first episode. My parents were sitting, and we were watching it together, and they were laughing, and it was entertaining. I was very entertaining. The first episode was very, very entertaining, and I remember it quite vividly, actually. I remember the opening sequence, and they had like that bat shield thing, and they were going in, and I can't remember who it was they were going after, but they pulled out, that was the first of the gimmicks they had. Well, the movie just amped all that up. They just went on and did more. They brought the boat, they brought the copter, they did the sidecar motorcycle thing, and then they explained the mystery thing with they had to hit the little lever thing to go down the tube to change clothes. And I remember, I completely forgot until watching the movie last night, that there was a time when they went down the poles, and Batman did not change. Robin did, and Bruce Wayne was still Bruce Wayne at the bottom of the ladder. So he obviously, you could decide when you wanted to do it. Well, the knife switch was very important, apparently. off. This is the very first regular series and a movie, in fact, the very first movie, DC Comics, of superheroes. Now they're coming out all the time, and you have the Marvel Universe and DC and all that. But this is the first. This is the first, and then back in the 30s there was a serial, but not a full-blown movie. So you'd make the decision what you wanted as to what the pertinence is there. But in any case, you got to remember that at this time there were a lot of other shows that were out. There was Wild Wild West, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, Lost in Space, which, by the way, Lost in Space in the second season mimicked Batman because they were against each other, I think, on Wednesday nights. And so Batman had a half an hour and Lost in Space had a full hour. And as a kid, I was perplexed by the whole thing, how they could do that, because I had to choose. I didn't like making the choice. I liked both shows quite a bit for the very same reasons. It was funny, it was entertaining, it was action, and it was a lot of fun. And I think that's what was interesting. And as far as the adults, yeah, the adults got some of the humor. I like they're at the Pentagon, and wherever the Pentagon is in Gotham City, but Batman just chastises the guy and says, the least you could have gotten when you sold the submarine is a last name. That's not very professional. This guy is a, Navy admiral, and he forgot to get a last name for the submarine that he sold. Some of the other things, of course, it was all of the action sequences with the pows and zaps and that it was cute because that's what the comic books were all about, doing that sort of thing. And let's face it, I was never a comic book fan, but from what I understand, the comic book Batman at that point was pretty much trashed anyway. It wasn't very serious. Comic books at that time were running through some real problems, if I remember correctly. It was really tough to make a living at that. And they picked up again in I think it was the 1970s, and really took off in the 80s and 90s again. Saw a resurgence, but in a very dramatic and dark way. At the time, they were trying to find ways to get kids to go and buy the magazine, so they kind of camped it up even in the comic books. In any case, I enjoyed it. I love the comedy that goes along with it. No, it's not blah ha 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 stuff, but you got to remember, this was very unique at the time, and doing the satire comedy with Adam, and get into characterization. I got to be careful, but we got Adam West and Burt Ward playing it straight through the whole thing, Citizens, and the cops going and taking their hats off every time they see Batman and Robin, in reverence to the crime fighters of the ultimate crime fighters, the crime fighter. You can't help but not enjoy it. Does it hold up? Probably not. I mean, I'm an adult now, and I can't take it the way it as I did as a kid, which I really enjoyed. But I will tell you this, though. One of the things that, because I'd seen the first season, we had a black and white television. So it was really something to see this thing in color. And in fact, many television shows of the time, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was an example of that. They would make two-part episodes into movies, and you go to a movie theater and you'd see it in color because you'd go and watch it in black and white on the TV because that's what you had, and you'd go and see the Man from U.N.C.L.E. in color, a full-length movie stitched together from a couple of episodes. So that was probably one of the draws too. Those were the days, my friends. 3 stations in black and white. Oh well, we can't go back, nor would we want to. All right, well, we're at the bottom of the list. We'll go ahead and go back to the top. We'll talk about characterization, and we've got about a dozen characters, some that just fly by very quickly, literally and figuratively. So we'll start with
Bill, W5BLT. Bill, what did you think of characterization for Batman the movie from 1966 from AE5 Iceberg?
W5BLT, you know, I like the characters. To me, the Batman is Adam West, and whenever I think of Batman and Robin, I think of the two actors that played them. The Catwoman, I probably remember now I just lost her name, the first lady that played. So I was probably more used to that in the season character. So the one in the movie kind of threw me off, although I don't remember that throwing me off as a kid. And I liked having all the villains in because, you know, just having them together. And of course, I think it's Burgess Meredith that played the Penguin, and I always liked him as an actor. You know, he talked about the Pentagon scene. That was pretty funny, and the Admiral, you know, just the way they kind of played it, like, oh yeah, we should have gotten that. So that's kind of just the way they did the characters. And I like with the Admiral that was thinking he was still on the ship. You know, or the captain. So they kind of spun it all, the characters, and again, it was just sort of fun. Just the way things were played out. But I don't know, I always kind of like the Penguin. And I'll say this, and then I'll move on. I knew a guy actually in college that when he laughed actually sounded like the Penguin, and he wasn't trying to. It was kind of funny. W5BLT.
Well, the supervillains were always the most important part of the Batman experience, and we got 4 of them in one movie. Next up is Tony, NT5TM. What did you and Aaron think about characterization for this film?
No, that was to me the best part. All of the humor from this movie that I got was just based on the characters. Batman and Robin, yes, everything is played so obsessively straight. Catwoman's secret weapon is she throws the kitty cat to Batman in combat because, of course, Batman cannot allow the little kitty cat to be hurt. The different, you know, sharks with laser beams type of goofy. I was a jack in the an exploding octopus. The rubber exploding shark. The things they come up with that are characteristic of each of their types. Yes, the police officers who have to take their hat off. The Salvation Army band that obsessively marches around getting away with Batman's effort to throw the bomb out. Everyone is just so much like themselves all the time that as they collide with one another, that's what always put the smile on my face. This wasn't the uproariously funny thing I've been hoping for, but it did consistently make me smile, and it consistently made me smile really just because of the characters, just bouncing all of these very unique, they should not be repeated, characters off of one another. I'm smiling just talking about it. That's what worked best about this movie for me. NT5TM.
Very good. Next up is Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, what did you think of characterization in Batman the movie from 1966?
This is WB50ZL. Well, I think the characters were the best part. They were just perfect. And these were really good, seasoned actors. I'm kind of surprised they managed to get them all together in one movie, but I know they overplayed it, but that's the charm of it. They were funny. and it just looked like they were having so much fun. It was infectious. So, and Chris Lee Merriweather, she got to be in some Star Treks after this, so we liked her there. And some of these Burgess Meredith had a really good role in a Twilight Zone. But they were just perfect. The costumes were fun, and their lines were fun, and they were just hysterical. Batman and Robin, I thought, were just fine. There's not much to say there. They were just sort of average-looking acting people. But I just felt like they kind of let everybody have free rein in developing these characters, and they just did an excellent job. Back to net, WB50ZL.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Next up is Burl, KF5TSK. Burl, your thoughts on characterization, or the acting for that matter, both, from KE5I6.
This KF5TSK. Well, I thought the Penguin, the Joker, and the Riddler, was exactly what I remember from the TV series, but I had a problem with the Catwoman because, she always played the good guy in the TV series, and I was like, it just felt strange for her to be the villain, and but I think the acting for them was about the same. That I thought the Riddles were, really cute. I guess for the time, I wouldn't enjoy it as much now, but just listen to some of the things that Robin would say. It was like explaining things. But the actors were essentially the same except for Catwoman, and I really enjoyed them. They were exactly as I remember from the TV series, but Catwoman was different. KF5TSK, back to that.
Next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Your thoughts on characterization?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, the characters, I think the actors played them pretty much spot on. It was, as someone said earlier, it's nice that they had all the villains in one movie. So that was definitely fun. And I think I've said this in weeks past. It's nice when, especially in a movie like this, when the character or the actors go all in. I mean, the actors could have looked at this and just rolled their eyes and just boned it in, but they didn't. They definitely played the characters to the extreme, which it looks like they probably had fun. I've not really done any reading or research to see if they did, but it definitely looks like they definitely just went all in and just had a lot of fun with it. And obviously these are the original, the Penguin and the Joker, and and obviously all of them were the ones that initially created these characters for a lot of people, and so that they kind of set where these characters started out and what people would expect from them moving forward in future movies. So it was just a lot of fun, and it was, Batman and Robin were pretty straight, not a lot there as far as, like I said, they were just kind of where the comedy went around, even though there was aspects of comedy with them. But the one thing I do kind of like about, at least with the Batman and Robin character this time around that we don't see much anymore, is that they were trying to actually solve puzzles, trying to figure things out. A lot of the movies today are just, basically beat 'em up, shoot 'em up. And the original Batman comics and even some of the cartoon series, Batman was part detective and part, crime fighter. It wasn't all just beat 'em up. So it was kind of nice to see where they were solving, even though the plot was kind of ridiculous. It was nice to see Batman character actually trying to solve puzzles and figure it out. And I guess the latest movie has gone back to that, but I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, I think the characters were played pretty spot on for once again kind of a comedy, just something fun and just kind of over the top. Back to net, KB9SOK.
Hey, good enough. Let's see. Next up is Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, your thought on characterization?
KG5BZW. All right, characters. Yeah, I know that most of these characters have the same actors that they played in the series, except for Catwoman. I don't know about minor characters like the mayor or whatnot. And I agree with the comments about this is it's not so much what the character. Well, okay, I take back what I didn't say. What I was going to say, which let me just start again. It's not really what. Golly, how do I put this? It is what the characters do, but it's not. It's more how they just fit into. Oh, I'm just I'm saying nothing new here. The characters are doing what the characters have usually did, just to the letter, and it's just a lot of the humor is in that, and I don't know. It was an enjoyable movie just for that. It's hard to comment on this versus the series because it's been so long since I've seen the series, or this versus I don't know, a lot of other things at the time. I just feel like I'm not really capable of adding to what's already been said, honestly. Because the humor is just, I don't know, Batman just has its own special thing. The 60s Batman series. There's just nothing to really equate to it. It's just kind of defined humor, certain aspects of humor for decades, I guess. I don't know. I know it's one of those things that just has a special place in a lot of people's hearts, and I think the film is true to that. So, I mean, I'm trying to remember because there was the argument as to why Batman should be grittier and darker and whatever in the 80s, and I remember paying attention to certain arguments, and you could argue that this is something made for kids, and the grittier thing is more for adults and stuff like that. And you know, the comics as an art form itself, I think it needs to be respected for that. The idea that it can have, I need to make sure I say the words right here. Adult content, but not adult content. You know, it's not the sexy crap, but actual, you know, real stories and whatnot. But I actually have some mixed feelings about Batman just because you could possibly make the argument that this Batman series and all, you know, keeping it aimed toward the kids and not letting the art evolve or whatever. I don't know. I'm just going off on weird tangents here. But let me reset. Hello, KG5BCW. Okay, all right. I knew I was just kind of rambling on and on. Like half of that ramble wasn't even about the characters. Oh gosh. Yeah, no, but they were true to that universe, and I can't really complain. That's basically my 2 cents. Sorry for the long ramble. KG5BCW.
Oh, that's okay, Joe. Joe? Where'd I get Joe from? That's okay, Jay. We do it all the time. Let's see here. Jazz, let me see. KF5JHA, you're probably gone, but I'll go ahead and ask. Are you someplace where you can make a comment about your favorite movie? From KE5ICS. I really think that was you. Can you increase power, improve position, stand on top of your car now?
Actually, I'm mobile. I'm using about 10 watts. At the star party, I was only using a 8-watt HT, but it had a J-pole up in the air. I hope you can hear me. Anyway, I'm good. I'm in a parking lot they call 635 right now. It's stuff full, so I'm going to give it back to you. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, Chaz. Well, we're glad you're there, and I'm glad you had a good time at the first star party in a couple of years. It must have been a lot of fun. We heard a lot of voices in the background, people saying things, and we understood what they were saying. We were getting a lot of interesting side comments in the background. We'll talk about those sometime. Okay, next up is Cruz, KI5KWG. Cruz, what'd you think of the characterizations in Batman the movie?
KI5KWG. Yeah, the characterizations, Adam West is the Batman, as Sean Connery is the James Bond. But with Cesar Romero and Burgess Meredith and the supporting cast there, that's not too shabby. These people were pretty good, although I don't know that we knew anything about Adam West prior to the Batman. More interesting to me than the characterization, I just wanted to follow up on my thoughts I had earlier about the olden days, the glory days. My TV, when I was 5 and 6, when this film came out, was Slam Bang Theater. And I just realized that there's probably a bunch of people listening to this that they know about Iggy Twerp, and that was a wonderful thing. And another memory I have from that same age, because I didn't watch much TV in those days, was late at night, or it was late for me, it was after dark, on whatever the UHF station we had, was that 39? Whatever it was we had, it would switch over to Spanish, and there was live bullfighting right there in front of God and everybody on the TV back in 1965, 66. So that's kind of an interesting social change that we've had since then. I think that's all the thoughts I've got on this. So I'm KI5KWG. Back to you, Net.
Okie dokie. Well, I didn't grow up down here, so I didn't have this live bullfighting. I grew up north, almost in the Great White North, up in Detroit. So I got my share of Canadian television. So for me, things like curling, yes, curling was a big sport that you watched on TV. And then you also had, what was the other thing they did? Oh, yes, Hockey Night in Canada. And anybody who knows their salt knows the theme song to Hockey Night in Canada, which they still play the thing. That's actually began in like the late 50s and early 60s, and it's still the theme song for the show. They sometimes call it the second Canadian national anthem. Check it out on YouTube. It's rather infectious when you listen to it. It was written by a woman for that back, like I said, in the early 60s. It's really a good theme. Now, characterizations. You can't go wrong with the people in this movie and who also appeared in the series. Lee Merriweather was popular in other series as well. She was in, she's probably known in co-starring in The Time Tunnel. She also appeared in Lost in Space, I think a number of westerns and things. It was pretty normal for her to do that, and she was quite talented. And playing Catwoman in this worked out quite well. It was a little different, a different take than say Julie Newmar or Eartha Kitt, but I think that in the end it was she did a nice job with it, and they carried over kind of the romantic piece to it with Bruce Wayne, or Batman, I guess really in this case, that he fell in love with her, and that is a theme that you get in some of the other series and versions of Batman. Now, you can't go wrong with Cesar Romero. He was a wonderful actor in motion pictures back in the 40s. He does a very good Joker in this, and he's quite an interesting guy. Besides that, Burgess Meredith is a hoot. Anything you've seen with Burgess Meredith in it, that guy was absolutely a wonderful actor. He was also very, very funny. Check it out. If you ever see Grumpy Old Men or Grumpier Old Men, at the very end when they run the credits, Burgess Meredith tells dirty jokes after dirty joke after dirty joke continuously during the credits. Just one right after another after another. He's quite a character, and he did a great job as the Penguin. But my favorite, and will always be my favorite out of that bunch, is Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. That guy just totally ate up the scenery in every scene he was ever in. He's so animated, so amazing, and I was transfixed as a kid watching him play the Riddler. He also added the derby hat. That was never in the comic books, but it was added because of Gorshin's portrayal of the Riddler, and that he became the de facto Riddler going forward. That was a minor character in the comic books, but he became so popular, and everybody who's ever played that role has pretty much imitated him because of the way he was so animated. Now, everyone else plays their role, and they play it well, and they play it straight, starting with Adam West, who's wonderful as Batman, and I agree with Cruz. I think he's the definitive Batman. He really is. There's, bar none, everyone's favorite. You can have this serious, dark, and sinister, but Adam West was really fun. fun in that role. Burt Ward, he was just mildly irritating, but that was what the role called for, and that's fine. And every time they tied him up and tried to put him in a shark tank or something, I was kind of hoping they'd win, and the sharks would win. That's just me. Maybe I was jealous because I wanted to be Boy Wonder or something. I don't know. Who the hell knows at that age? I just always found him kind of annoying. Commissioner Gordon, always fun. He's really great. He just plays it straight, and he's, by George, we got to do Batman. And I remember there was an episode where they couldn't depend on Batman, that they had to solve their own crimes. And there's a whole 2 episodes with Commissioner Gordon. He's ready to pick up the phone. He goes, no, we're going to do it on our own. And I always thought that was so funny. And then Chief O'Hara, very good character. He just did his Irish policeman thing to the hilt. He was wonderful in that. Alfred Pennyworth, played by Alan Napier, very dry, droll, but engaging. And him driving around in the movie with that little tiny mask on. No, nobody would ever guess that that's not Batman. There was even a few episodes where he portrayed Batman with mustache and all, and he had to fake it. But I'll tell you something. In the end, I agree with Bill and his comments that he made about the fact that everybody wear these little tiny masks, and nobody could figure, or Tony, I think, did it. In these little tiny masks, it's like you can't figure out who they are. Give me a break. But I guess that was a part of it. You gotta ask yourself, anybody that plays the mask game and you can't figure it out from their voice or mannerisms or anything else, those are pretty dopey people in that world. So overall, I think that again, this was the number one thing that came out of this was the characters, the acting, and that. And who doesn't love a juicy villainous role? Golly, in any superhero movie, particularly the Batman series, getting to play those juicy characters, those supervillains, is something that an actor always dreams of. And in fact, in this first iteration of this stuff, with this series, everybody wanted to be in Batman. I mean, they would pay scale, and these and famous actors would go in and play one of the characters because they wanted to. It was just so much fun. And this was carried over later on, too. Another series that I really loved was Gotham over on Warner Brothers Network. And if you ever get a chance to see those are wonderfully entertaining, primordial characters that would become their full potential in the movies. And they were still played by young actors doing a really great job, and they were eating up, the opportunity to do these roles. So I think maybe that's what comes through in all of this. Is these folks are just, these characters are just so over the top and so much fun for an actor to play that they're going to play it. Why not? That's what they're there to do, is to perform, and taking it over the top, no holds barred, and having fight scenes to go along with it. What the heck? Why not? All right. Do we have any additional check-ins at this point? I'll go ahead and ask. Anybody want to join us before we go to our final round? Please come now. Okay, I think we're on target this evening, time-wise. I'll go ahead and start at the top. The last round, more than likely. Talk about anything you want. Special effects, music. Did you like the Nelson Riddle music? I did. What did you think of the special effects? Or anything else? The way it was filmed, or something, anything. Or something you missed on the first couple of rounds that came to you during this past round that you want to go back to and discuss. We'll start with Bill, W5BLT. Bill, your comments.
right, thank you, Tom. You know, I will say this. I love the music on the Batman, and kind of the sound effects. I love the sound of the Batmobile. Before I realized, of course, we might get self-driving cars, so I might be able to drive, but as a little kid, before I realized there was something to the blindness thing, I thought, man, it'd be great to have a Batmobile. And interestingly, one of my first memories of a toy at Christmas time that didn't work was this boat that was supposed to float in the tub and have a propeller and do all that, and it didn't work out. And so we took it back to exchange, and I got a whole bunch of toys, the helicopter, the Batmobile, the boat, all that, the car for the Joker. And of course I remember as a kid I would sit with those toys during the series. I was, probably maybe 4 or 5. I'm trying to remember. For me, would have been in the early 70s. So, but that's one of my recollections. And I will say one other thing. So that's how I knew kind of what the in my mind, visualizing the movie with the cars and the helicopter and boat for me. But the other thing I will say is I did not realize about the masks until my daughter, who was doing the descriptive video, pointed that out, and was laughing about it. And she brought up the same comment that Tony did. But believe it or not, I didn't know that as a kid. Nobody had ever pointed that out as I watched those movies. The other thing I will say is I just never got into the new Batman. I know a lot of people have, and I think it's great, but I just couldn't get in. I remember the excitement when the new movies came out, and I just could not get into them. Anyway, W5BLT. Thank you, Tom, as always.
Very good. Thank you, Bill, for your comments this evening. Next up is Tony, NT5TM. Tony, your final thoughts on anything you want to talk about?
Oh, I think my favorite vehicle was the Batboat. It was shiny and looked like a lot of fun to zoom around in. I wouldn't have liked this music in anything else. It was just so melodramatic and Batmanish. But hey, fortunately, this is a movie about Batman, so the music was perfectly okay for the job. But I sure think the Batboat was fun. NT5TM.
Okay, one Batmobile, one Batboat. We'll go to Brenda. Brenda, I had to check. I had to wake her up on the back channel over here. She fell asleep because there were a bunch of J's going across the screen, so I knew her forehead was on the keyboard. WB5OZL, Brenda, your final comments, special effects, music, whatever you want to talk about from KE5I6.
That's not very nice. This is WB5OZL. I'm voting for the Batmobile. It was pretty cool, and I wanted one of those. The cave that it comes out of, that's a famous cave in, what's the name of that park? Griffith Park, the one where the Griffith Observatory is. And we have seen that cave in some other movies. It's been in hundreds of movies. Star Trek filmed in there. The Horta was in that cave. So that's a real familiar one. It actually is not a cave. It was a quarry. It's a man-made cave. And it's just part of the wonderful history of that area. Let's see. What else did I think? I thought a lot of the action scenes were pretty good. Everything moved along in a good clip, and I like that. The stunts, looks like some stunt people got a lot of work that year, and but some of the gimmicks and stuff were just dumb. And all that equipment down there in the Batcave, what was all that about? some of it looks familiar. I think we've seen that stuff in other movies, but I wasn't sure what all those blinking lights were for. But it was sure cool, I'll say that. Okay, back to net, WB50ZL.
Alright, very good. We got down for Batmobile. That's 2 Batmobiles and 1 Batboat. So moving right along. Yes, Brenda, she's sending me a nastygram over here. Next is Burl, KFI-PSK. Burl, your final comments on anything you want to talk about, special effects or music or something that got lost in the sauce on the previous round. Go ahead, from KE5ICX.
Well, as far as this movie, the Bat Cycle, the Bat Boat, and the Bat Copter were new, I guess, Bat vehicles. And the Bat Copter, I really didn't find. It just seemed unreal because it had wings, and it also had autopilot, and it's like, I've seen a copter that serious, and I don't think you would really climb out on a ladder and leave the thing running. You'd probably be in the water. The other thing that I thought was interesting was, the captions of, the fighting, POW, it was almost like, we're not going to show the action, we're going to tell you that it happened. And I thought that was unusual that, I can't think of any other movie that someone would put in captions like that, and, maybe I would enjoy it when I was younger, but I don't really think that I would enjoy it now. KF5TSK, back to net.
Okay, got you down, Burl. You'll take it all of the different bat devices, with the exception of the Batcopter with wings. Understandable. I understand. KB9SOK, Sean, your final comments on anything you want to say about Batman, the movie from 1966, from KE5ICX.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. I thought the music fit it very well. The sound effects were good. Of course, what person doesn't want a Batmobile? Put me down for a Batmobile. Obviously, the guy that creates Batmobile, which I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they've obviously done specials about him, and he made quite a few different vehicles and stuff for, TV in those days, and he didn't, he went all in. He made them, real vehicles. They were definitely sharp. Every kid wanted a Batmobile. And don't forget that the Bat motorcycle had the sidecar was actually a go-kart, so it could go on its own as well. So it was kind of nice that they decided to stick with the props from the TV show. They could have, during the movie, they could have upped, the ante and probably made higher end looking stuff, and just, because I'm sure they had a bigger budget. We've seen that, I think, with a few shows, obviously, that have gone from TV to movie that, so it's kind of nice, actually. They just stuck with what you're familiar with, like the Batcave, the gadgets in there, it's just, everything was kind of basic and cheesy looking, but that was actually, to me, kind of fun of it as well. It was just, So, as far as the effects, I thought the props were appropriate, and I even got a laugh out of the submarine with the little fins in the back instead of a propeller, and, just all that, just traditional, good old Batman. So, I agree. Adam West always be a Batman, and that's really all I have. Back to that, KB9, it's okay.
Thank you, shot. Next up is Jay, KG5BZW. Your final comments from KE5I6.
About BGW. This is goes to show how early I think I saw this movie, because I remember it's like one of those strange arguments you get into it as a kid. Like my dad, I think to recall something about rockets being launched from the ocean. And my dad I think my dad may have explained it to me. I may not quite have understood it at the time. But I was talking to, I remember some caretaker or teacher or something. I saw rockets being launched from the ocean. I was like, there's no rocket launch things or anything from the ocean or whatever. Like, but no, I saw it. And I actually remember getting really upset about it. And of course, I have a feeling it may have been from this film. Of course, that's real footage, of course, but not from a rocket platform in the ocean, but missile from a submarine. I don't know that I understood that they were actually being launched from the submarines or how that actually all was involved in all. But man, I remember it's just the funniest thing, because I was like, well, maybe I questioned myself, like, did I even see rockets being launched from the ocean? And it's like, it took me a little while, like a few years to come across missiles being launched from a submarine. So it's kind of I know it's kind of off topic and an odd remark, but it's just like, I think I will remember this movie probably because of this. It may not be true. I may have seen the footage from elsewhere, but this something rings true about it, so I'm just going to say that's what happened. But yeah, it was the memory of being just like, no, rockets don't come from the ocean, like, and just being like, but no, and like I actually talked about that, like it was a real thing, but I didn't describe it right or something, and just they just didn't understand me, and me being really upset, and I don't know.
Elvis.
Sorry, that's the most random of stories, but I'm going to attribute this film to that. Whether or not it's actually true, I think I won't go do that. KG5BZW.
Alright, thank you, Jay. And next up is Cruz, KI5KWG. Your final comments.
KI5KWG. The Batmobile definitely is my favorite. In fact, my favorite sound effect from the TV show. I don't recall if it's the same sound they use on the film, but on the startup of the Batmobile has that wonderful guttural roar when it first starts up, and that sound is just one of my favorite all-time sound effects. And I read something about it years ago. It's actually a rocket motor, so it's a turbo pump that somebody recorded, and I'm thinking, that would be maybe Titan II era. My other interest besides radios and old movies is the Skynet, which I always get to listen to and never get to check in on. And but that was a topic of discussion on some website. It must have been 10 years ago or more, is trying to determine what rocket motor it was that they had used. All that was recorded apparently is that it was a turbo pump that gave us that beautiful sound. So that's what I have, and before I go, I'm long overdue in saying thanks for Skynet and thanks for Afterglow. I just absolutely love these. Stumbled upon it scanning my radio about a year ago, and it's now part of my regular Saturday night, and thank you, Tom, for what you do on it, too. I'm KI5KWG. Back to you, Net.
Well, thank you, Cruz. I wouldn't do it unless I enjoyed it, and I do, and I have never gotten tired of it. We've been doing Skynet celebrating its 10th anniversary, and this net, I think it's been around at least 5 years now, and we've had fun with it. It's just kind of, this one naturally evolved after Skynet because, well, talk about movies, and suddenly before we knew it, we decided, well, what the heck, we'll just do it. So, I agree with you. The Batmobile is my favorite, and I agree with you again about that whole sound thing. I even still get goosebumps over the darn thing. It's crazy. You know, you say batteries to power, turbine to speed, move out, and that roar, that guttural sound would come out. And what I loved was in the back, when the flames would come out, they'd added some sort of a vortex thing in the back, so it really looked like this thing was pouring out some energy, a jet engine type of thing. That was so cool, and I never get tired of it in watching it in the series or in the movie that we watched this week. It's just a lot of fun. So I'm with you on that. Now, a couple of things, and I have to reset occasionally because we're now in the regular repeater thing, so I'm going to do that now. The music that was done by jazz great Nelson Riddle, who is no slouch. He's won a Grammy. In fact, just before he died, he won a Grammy for Linda Ronstadt's Round Midnight, which is a wonderful album. I also have the soundtrack that was offered by La La Land Records for Batman. I think it's a really good score, and I enjoy it. It's got a nice sound, and it works for this movie. As Tony says, it works for the movie. But knowing that it's Nelson Riddle who did it is, I think, extra special. Let's see, what else did I want to say? I had notes. Oh, one of the things that was really cool was that came out was the Corgi Batmobile, which had all of the stuff in it. They also did the James Bond car that was used in one of the early movies and that, so there was really quality stuff and well done. If you can find those, they're worth a small fortune, and if they're in good condition, they're worth a big fortune. Those things were well made. Corgi did a really nice job on those things. I always wanted one of them. Now you can get them, but they want a fortune for those too. Oh, by the way, I noticed this on the ad for MeTV. Don't forget, at 5:30 tomorrow evening on Collector's Call on MeTV, they'll be talking all about Lost in Space. So put your recorder on. I got to do that before I forget. I'm a huge fan of Lost in Space, which is on right now, but go ahead and watch that. All right, well, I guess that's it on the comments. Loved it. The submarine was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Overall, all the effects in that stuff was collected by Irwin Allen years ago and put in his movies and television shows, and they migrated over to Batman simply because, well, it was 20th Century Fox, so it was part of their prop department. A lot of the props that you see ended up being sold to Woody's Props in California, in West Hollywood. Woody's is finally closed after all these years. I don't know where the stuff has gone since then. But some of the same things you see have appeared as late as in, I guess it was about 8 years ago, for Lost, the TV series Lost. If you saw the season with the hatch where they go underground, where there's an old complex down there, that's where all that stuff appears. So they still use those props from time to time. All right.
right, next week we go back to a little more in the science fiction realm rather than fantasy, and the movie was made in 2021, a small film called Parallel Universe from 2021. I have the links and everything. You know how to get to them, and it is available over on YouTube. That'll be the movie for next week. It got some good reviews, so I'm hoping that it's a good film. I've not reviewed it. I never review the films unless I've seen them in the past, so we never know. The good ones I always pick. The bad ones Brenda always picks. So just keep that in mind anytime you are watching the film and wondering why. Hopefully this will be a good one, and it's one that I picked. We'll find out, I guess. So I'm going to say 7-3 to everybody. Thank you. Thanks for the comments. I appreciate that. I have too much fun with it anyway. It's easy to do. We'll see you all this time next week. Have a good week. Have a good Sunday. We'll see you here again next time. This is KE5ICX. Clear. In fact, we'll be at the same bat time on the same bat repeater. NP5 tee up. Thank you, Tom.